Welcome back, everybody, to the third episode of the HEP Podcast. I am your host, Chase Galloway. Today's podcast is going to be a very busy one as we have a lot of new segments for our show.
The chess club will be having a special guest, Chris Leland, who is playing some of our high-level chess students. Me and Chase will be interviewing him after the chess game.
Our special guest for today is the president of ESA Alpha Chapter, Robert Coggins. We are very excited to have Robert on as our second guest on the podcast.
But before that, let's go over our announcements for today.
After Thanksgiving, we'll get to show our Christmas spirit by wearing Christmas items during our Christmas Spirit Week, which is December 5th through 8th. Then we get ready for tie-dye week after Christmas break. The classical school Christmas party is coming up soon on December 2nd at Holiday Acres, 1:30 through 4:30 p.m. The upper school will be having a game night at the school on December 8th from 6:30 to 9. We'll have board games and cookies. The cost will be $5 per person. This might be our last school event at our current location.
Now let's go to our interview for the day.
We would love to welcome the president of the ESA Alpha Chapter, Robert Coggins. Thank you for agreeing to do this interview. We are overly thrilled to have you here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here today.
So, for the listeners out there that do not know this, can you tell us about what ESA is?
So, ESA stands for Eta Sigma Alpha. It's the Homeschool National Honor Society. Miss Jerome started in 1999, and it's pretty much just a way for her to get her kids involved in an honor society. Public schools aren't really that open to homeschoolers in this area, but this just lets homeschoolers be involved in honor society like most public schoolers get to. And a lot of ESA is the service projects. We do a lot of service in the community. Some of our big service projects are like the Walk for Hope and the Pasadena Animal Shelter. So we do a lot of stuff like that to help the community.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned service projects. In your opinion, what has been your favorite service project to participate in?
Well, I think if you ask anybody from ESA, it's definitely somebody's going to say the Walk for Hope. It's pretty much our biggest project. We've, over the course of our years donating to them, we've raised about $20,000. So that's pretty impressive for a small group of homeschoolers to do. And there's just a lot of stuff people love to do about it. It's a good cause. It goes to veterans. If you like activities like running or walking or just like playing sports, it's fun in that sense. And everybody just always enjoys that one. So I'd have to say that the Walk for Hope is definitely my favorite service project.
So, in ESA, you are known as the president. How did you get that title?
So normally, a term for ESA is about from the start of the school year to the end of the school year and a little bit after. So it's a little bit over a year for the president, and each year there's a different election. For all the officers, ESA follows Robert's Rules of Order, so it has about 8 officers that make ESA happen. And by the end of the term, each year everybody runs. You can be nominated or you can just run for yourself. It doesn't matter. The only requirements are that you joined ESA and you've been in ESA for a year. And so I was nominated by Zach King, who was the vice president last year. And you basically just have to prepare a speech and present it to the Honor Society at the, I believe it's the May meeting. And once you present it, the Honor Society votes, and if you get the most votes, you're elected. If you don't get elected, then you're able to run for multiple officer positions. So there's always like a way to get involved.
What challenges you the most being president of Alpha Chapter?
Well, I mean, there's pretty much challenges all the time being the president. It's just from organizing the events and just making committees work together. It's probably the most time consuming. Nothing really stands out as being overly challenging, but everything definitely takes a lot of effort to get it all done and get it done effectively.
So, I know you probably might only be president for maybe 6 more months. Do you have any future plans in that time span for Alpha Chapter?
So yeah, that's kind of the problem with my term. I don't have a lot more time to make any major changes to ESA. The main thing is we're trying to expand our service. Since it is, you have to be in the 90th percentile on a standardized test, it's hard to expand our numbers without, tutoring people or helping in that sense. But mainly I just want to keep it going. We're going pretty good. We have good membership, and a lot of our events are pretty successful.
So now that we have asked some serious questions, we would like to ask you some fun questions. So what is a hidden talent you have?
Well, it's something a lot of people don't really know about me. It's not really hidden, but I would say it's not well known at the school or anything. Is I play in a small band with two of my friends. We're called the Backwater Country Boys, and we play country music, just pretty much anything country, and we'll play it. We haven't done a ton of gigs, but we've done a couple in the past year, and they're all pretty fun. We also had to do a jazz song once or twice, so we kind of don't always do country, but that would be my hidden talent.
So who came up with the creative name your band has?
It was just kind of a collective decision. We practice, I live on Trinity Bay, and so we always practiced in my garage, and so we were kind of like on the backwater, so we were Backwater Country Boys because we liked country music. So it was kind of a joke at the start, but we just stuck with it. So.
What instrument do you play in your band?
So in the band, I mainly play piano. I can play guitar, but I prefer the piano. And the great thing about the piano is you can kind of cover a lot from the bass to the melody. So if we ever have somebody missing, it's easy to fill all the space.
So you mentioned you already had a few gigs. Where do you play?
So one of the bigger things we've done recently is we played at our church's trunk or treat. We were just like live music, played a bunch of country music. We play every Sunday at our church in the praise band, so that would be our second thing that we do consistently. If you want to check it out, you can see it. It's CBG Student Ministries, but that's pretty much the two main things we do. We've done a couple other gigs, but nothing too big.
Is there a book out there that you can read constantly and never get bored of it?
Well, I could probably read it more than once. I don't know. It's not really. These books aren't really ones that I'd like to read just over and over again because I feel like they're more important to me. But the two that I thought of were Love Does by Bob Goff and then 90 Minutes in Heaven. They're both really important to me. I feel like you can just pick them up and pick any part of the book and read them and just get something out of it. So those are my two books that I think I could read repeatedly and not get bored of.
So what do you do in your free time?
Man, free time kind of shrinks the more you take on, but if I do have free time, I really like to look at technology and stuff like that. I'm big into PCs and building computers, and so a lot of that, and then programming them. That's what I like to do. I haven't gotten to do it in a while, but I do like to build my own computers if I do get some free time.
So before this interview ends, I do want to just thank you again for agreeing to do this interview. It was actually pretty fun to do this, so just wanted to thank you again before the interview ends.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoyed it. I've been a lifetime listener, so it was a dream to be on the podcast.
Before our chess club segment, we are going to play a short trivia game. I'm going to ask each of our members questions about random facts. Samuel is up first. Samuel, who in 1903 was the first woman to ever win a Nobel Prize?
I'm going to have to be real with you, Chase. I have never watched any of that stuff, nor do I have an interest, so I do not know.
Well, this person was not alive when, you were not alive when this person won the Nobel Prize. The answer is Marie Curie. Okay, next up, Anna. Your question is, what year did the Berlin Wall fall?
It was in the 1940s, I know that, but
Close. About 40 years off. It fell officially in 1989. Next up, Kristen. What is the more popular name for the portrait officially titled La Gioconda, painted in 1503?
I'm going to be 100% honest. I have no idea what that pronunciation was.
What kind of trivia questions are these?
The answer is the Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa is a name of Mona Lisa.
The painting is not titled the Mona Lisa.
I thought these were third grade.
I was not aware.
Okay.
Yours was
Now,
actually kind of easy.
Cammy, what element does the chemical symbol AU stand for?
AU? Gold, eh?
Yes, that is correct.
Let's go.
Okay, back to Samuel. What is the smallest planet in our solar system?
Mercury.
That is correct. And Anna, what is the highest grossing Broadway show of all time?
How am I supposed to know that? I've never been to Broadway.
It's so you're giving up?
Yes.
It's The Lion King. All right.
I literally did a presentation on that earlier today.
That's great. So that is our question section for today.
Thank you for those questions. Those were interesting, but I would not say those were third grade questions.
I agree. I second Sam.
I like my question.
But yeah, now it's time to cover that chess club match. Chase, would you care to join me for that?
Sure. We are here with Chris Land, a chess FIDE master. Thank you for letting us interview you, Chris.
Thank you.
Well, I would have to say, Mr. Land, those are some pretty interesting games you played. I have never seen a event or game like that. Could you explain to us what you played?
What we did today is called a simul, and it's short for simultaneous, and there's a ring, and all of the chessboards are around in a ring, and the player who's giving the simul, typically the master, is in the middle and plays white on all of the chessboards. And so you move from board to board, and each student replies with their move, and so all of the games are happening at the same time.
Well, that's pretty interesting. How do you think the games went with the students?
I think there were a lot of really fun games. Definitely there was a lot of good fighting spirit, and people were having fun figuring out what they wanted to do. So that was nice to see.
Mm-hmm. So, in your personal opinion, who would you say was the most difficult student to play?
There was one student that definitely put up a lot of resistance. Ian, I think was his name. So
yes.
Kudos to Ian. He fought me all the way through. So that was nice.
Yeah, I've heard he's been playing chess for a pretty long time, so it would make sense. He's probably the most experienced student here. So, Mr. Man, I have one final question. Is a simul a common event, or is it a special occasion?
In the chess world, simuls are often given by very strong players. They come to town and you set it up and everyone gets to play this player. So when the world champion comes to town, etc., you have an opportunity to play. So this is very fun. There's a couple simuls that I've been part of. A few years ago, Nigel Short came to Houston. He was the challenger to the World Championship in 1993. So he's been one of the top grandmasters in the world for a long time. And I managed to be the last game to finish. And he did the thing where he pulls up the chair and sets it down, and he's not moving anymore because I'm the only game left. And I did manage to get a draw in that game, so I was quite happy about that.
Well, speaking of being last, special congratulations to Ian for being the last player standing in this game event.
Yeah, he did very well.
You have some questions, Chase?
Yes, I do. So if you don't mind telling us a little bit about your experience playing chess over the years?
I learned when I was very little. I didn't get to start playing much until I was in my teens, but I became a master, quite a long time ago now. Before the current world champion was born. And then in 2007, I met all the qualifications for FIDE Master. So that's the third highest international title. The first is Grandmaster, the second is International Master, and I'm in the third group. So.
Okay. So over the history, what has been the hardest chess game that you've played?
There's definitely been a lot of difficult opponents that I've had. The toughest thing, I think, the one that's memorable at least, was in the 1999 Texas State Championship. And so I entered the final day. There were 2 games to play on that day. And I knew I was going to have to win both of them to do very well. And I ended up playing 2 other masters, and I won both of those games. And so I placed second in the Texas State Championship that year. So that was very exciting.
Thank you. So going into these chess matches, what was your end goal for our students to learn at the school?
The simul experience. The simul is short for simultaneous. So you have one player, the master, that plays a whole bunch of other peoples all at the same time. And it's a spectacle. It's not primarily competitive. It's primarily a lot of fun. And so there's a bit of a disadvantage because, the player in the middle has to spend all his time on all these other games. So it's a fun experience for people to see how you do, how your neighbors are doing, that type of thing.
Okay. So we have one fun question for you that we always ask in every interview of the podcast. What is a hidden talent that you have besides chess?
Chess is one, but the other thing that I do is humor theory. And I have actually published a book on this recently. So the name of the theory is Clash Theory, and it describes what all humor has in common. And the name of the book is Why Funny is Funny.
Interesting. Well, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about the book and what's in it?
It's a new theoretical structure for understanding what humor is. And there's a lot of thoughts out there, but they're kind of inchoate, they're kind of hazy, and I've made it a lot more clear what humor is all about in all of its different forms, because of course people disagree about what's funny and what isn't. So any successful theory has to explain all of those differences, and there are many.
Intriguing. Well, your book is available to buy, I presume?
It is. It's on Amazon. And maybe I'll put some copies here in HEP. That would be kind of fun.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for letting us talk to you, Chris. And anybody who would like to join HEP's chess club, you can contact HEP about any more information on that. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the 3rd episode of the HEP Podcast. A special thank you to Robert and Chris Land for letting us interview them, and we will see you all next week.